Welcome back to Elevate Up Plus, Lessons from the Sherpa. I am your host, Steve C. I am a leadership coach and trusted advisor, also known as the Sherpa. Today, I'm excited about talking to you about what being a thermostat versus a thermometer. Something I learned from a good mentor, Ed Mylett, who wrote the book, The Power of One More, and also my great friend and pastor, Paul Bush, at church this last weekend. And I think you'll really grasp this concept. It's very useful for the age that we're in today. Before we go there, there's something amazing coming up called the Second Mountain Project in January of 2025. I'm going to take 5 core leaders through 9 months together. It's the most intensive, well-rounded program yet to date. I would love to talk with you more about that. If you're interested in learning more, now would be the time. Please go to my website at Coach Steve C. That's steveseay.com/events to learn more. Now back to today's topic of being a thermostat versus a thermometer. I love this idea because when you think about a thermostat, you think about what options do I have? A thermostat, I might see the temperature, but I can adjust it colder or warmer. I can adjust it up or down. I have the ability to set it. Now, if I look at a thermometer, I look at it and I can only read it. I can read what's coming out in the numbers, whether it's showing me what's the temperature in the room. Now, one of the cool concepts that I like from this is as we look at being a thermometer versus a thermostat, I like to use the example of the morning routine for getting our kids ready for school. For those of you that have kids know exactly what I'm talking about. Well, getting our kids ready for school, if I'm showing up as a thermometer, I'm going to show up being reactive. Did they wake up in a good mood? Did they get enough sleep? Are they going to eat the breakfast that I prepared for them? Right? Are they going to treat their siblings well? Or is there going to be sibling rivalry before we even get in the car? Are we going to be to school late because somebody chose not to put their shoes on? Things like that. I can look at life as waiting for something to come to me like a thermometer. Or as a thermostat, I can set the tone. I can set the stage for it. In a previous podcast episode I spoke about something called the morning routine or morning ritual to help prepare my mind and my heart and my soul to prepare for the kids in the morning. So before they're even awake, I started to look at what can I do to prepare myself in advance to be able to serve them, to be able to set the tone, setting the thermostat to where I would want to see in my parenting, my guiding, my loving, my serving of them. And so for today's topic on being a thermostat, looking at a thermostat really is a verb. It's an active tense. I can turn it up or down. When we look at a thermometer, it's kind of set, right? It's this noun. It's there. It's nothing I can do with it. It's set in place. We can almost look at it as life's circumstances, looking at the external noise versus the inside, the internal, I call it the inner stance. And a couple things to look at as we go down the description of both. We can see things like a thermostat. I'm allowed to create. I get to create. I get to build. I get to be in the game of life. But when I'm looking at life as a thermometer with a thermometer mindset, I become reactive. I become waiting for things to happen to me. I become waiting for things to come up in my life before I do something about it. Often with a thermostat, I get to choose who I want to be today. My attitude, my behavior, my actions matter versus, oh, how do I feel in the moment? Does this feel right? Does it not? And oftentimes our emotions can kind of run amok and take us in a path we don't want to go because is it something that brings us happiness? And oftentimes happiness turns back void. I also like to look at a thermostat as being a producer in the film. I'm a producer. I get to choose how I want to act and be in this film, this production, versus a critic. You ever see a critic on the sideline like, hey, you should do this differently. Hey, why don't you just turn left instead of this? Hey, why don't you? It's like, how about you get in the game with me? And oftentimes as a critic, we can look to see what's going on the outside. We see that a lot with politics today, with the wars going around the world, with policies being done locally and through federally. We get in this lane of reacting to what's going outside of our circle of concern. A thermostat's going to be concerned only with the things that I can control within my lane. So the perception shifts too, because my perception is how can I see this situation, this person, this place differently? When I look at life through circumstances, then I'm going to look at something as, oh, based on how something else is doing or not doing, will result in my happiness, my fulfillment, whether it's a good day or a bad day. And I want to challenge you with that, to say, how can I look at life as a thermostat? Being able to look at life to say, you know what, no matter what the circumstances, I have options, I have agency to step in and dial it up or down. I can set the tone in my family, in my place of work, in my neighborhood. Now, Mr. Rogers was famous for, Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. He would say, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Would you be my neighbor? Let's be a thermostat and less of a thermometer. And I think it's more needed today than ever. Wouldn't you think? That's my challenge for both me and for you today. So if any of this resembles or kind of connects with you and you go, I want to be more of a thermostat, Steve, I would like to be more of that than a thermometer, then I'd love to have a conversation with you. Please go to my website at coachsteve.com, and I'd love to have this conversation about how we can be more of a thermostat in today's world. Thank you for tuning in to today's lessons from the Sherpa. I hope you got a lot from that, and I can't wait to see you in future episodes. Until then, happy trails.
Hi, my name is Steve C., leadership coach and trusted advisor. Some call me the Sherpa. Most men and women lead lives of quiet desperation. They die with the music still in them. And that's why I created the Second Mountain Project. We know of the first mountain as self-actualization from Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's the second mountain that we're going to touch on. This has to do with our eulogy virtues. There's 3 pillars in this. One is energy. What kind of energy, capacity do you have to give to others at home and work? Second one is our work and our vocation. What's our calling? What do we give to that has more meaning beyond ourselves? And the third one is love. Our world needs more love today, doesn't it? And that's what we're going to spend our focus on, is how do we build up who we're being and becoming in the world today. My coach, Stephen McGee, said, the hardest mountain to climb is the mountain within. And there's 5 core buckets that we're going to dump into over the year together. The first one being our spiritual fitness. The second one being our physical fitness. The third one being our emotional fitness. The fourth, our mental fitness. And 5, our directional fitness. And all 5 buckets are necessary in order for us to be able to climb on the second mountain in a way where we have more capacity, more ability to step into that place. I believe in the idea that we need to be the change that we wish to see in the world today. And as a result of being in this program 1 year together, is you have more fulfillment, more joy, more satisfaction, more buoyancy, and more ability to handle any circumstance that comes our way. So please join me as I look forward to having a conversation with you about how you can be part of the 2025 Elevate Up Tribe. Let's climb higher together. Happy trails.